comments on the crime of manslaughter. You have a parole eligibility date of October 17th, 2024, full-term date of 10/18/2044. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Prater to begin our questioning.
Good morning, Mr. Highstreet.
Morning.
Okay, I want to go over just a few facts so that I make sure that I understand what's going on here. On October the 17th of 2004, roughly 20 years ago, you stabbed Esmeralda Valdez. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I noticed in reading the report that there were a number of other cut marks and bruises and signs of abuse on her. Did those come from you also?
Yes, sir. We was arguing and fighting at the time.
Okay, and then you were charged originally with second degree, but you pled to a reduced charge of manslaughter, correct?
Yes, sir. Every
Okay.
time,
Go ahead. So,
against the advice of my lawyer, I took a plea of manslaughter because every time we went to court, it kept getting postponed and postponed. My family and her family would argue over the child, so I just wanted to finish, to get it over with.
okay, all right, and I noticed also that I believe it was in 1999. Also, you were charged with domestic violence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But that charge was ultimately released or dismissed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was the same lady had complained on you roughly 5 years earlier, correct?
Yes.
And y'all lived together, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On that domestic, how much, I guess what in my mind, and I know that you don't have to answer this because I can't prove it or disprove it, but between 99 and 2004, the number of times that there were problems when she may have been abused or mistreated, and I was just curious about that. Did y'all have an ongoing problems with your relationship?
Not really ongoing. It was just like spur of the moment stuff, I guess.
Okay. All right, so you served roughly half of your sentence at this point, and all right, I noticed that the DA and the sheriff and a number of victims want to keep you in jail, and I think some of them are going to speak here in a few minutes. Let's see. And the other thing that concerned me was the length of time when she was still alive, but you didn't call for an ambulance or anything like that for a couple of hours. Why?
Yeah. Shock, I guess. Couldn't believe it actually happened.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I have. But one more thing. I did notice that you have gotten your high school diploma. I couldn't find but one write-up, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Have you been written up a lot? Is that correct, Lord?
Yes, one time he has.
Okay.
It
One
wasn't
right-
here, it was a different facility, but that's in his record, yes.
Okay. And you've had many certificates and classes and courses that you've taken, and I want to congratulate you on trying to make yourself a better person while you've been incarcerated. So I want to tell you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's all I do.
Mr. Kerman?
Okay, did y'all have any children together? I thought I
Yeah.
heard you mention that at the beginning.
Yes, sir. One daughter.
One daughter, how old is she?
Now she's 22. At the
Does
time,
she have any contact with you?
we've communicated twice over email.
So you don't have any personal contact? Okay,
No.
all right. That's all the questions I have. Who's in the custody of the child in right now?
The grandmother.
Okay, thank you.
Warden Bickham, would you like to make a statement right now on this offender?
Yes, ma'am, his record pretty much speaks for itself. He's had that one write-up. He is a trustee and a proud member here, but that's really the rest of his record speaks for itself.
The one write-up kind of concerns me because you were at the state police barracks. Is that correct, Mr.?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And that's considered the cream of the crop right there.
Yes,
You were involved in an altercation and removed from that location.
yes, ma'am.
Did you have any kind of punishment other than being removed from that facility?
No,
Any
ma'am.
loss of time or anything?
No.
The other,
Well,
Oh,
you broke
they-
up.
That's not accurate. You did have lots of good time.
Oh, yes, I couldn't understand what you're just breaking up a little.
a person involved in that altercation with you, were they removed from the barracks as well?
Yes, ma'am.
So you both were removed?
Yes, ma'am. It's, no tolerance, no tolerance. So everybody was removed that had something to do with it.
Today, we have several members of the victim's family who are here in opposition. I'm going to read their names. Yeah. I'll go first, Pearl.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we'll go to Carrie Myers then. Carrie is with the Parole Project, and they are in support and following this case. So, Mr. Myers, if you'll introduce yourself and provide the information you wish to say.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Carrie Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here in support of Mr. Highstreet. We believe that looking at his record, he has demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation. He has worked very hard during this 20 years of incarceration. What we know is as people reach his age and display the type of records that he has, they're very unlikely to reoffend. Should he be released and come to Parole Project, while in our program, first thing he'll have is an assessment through our social worker, and she will assess for any recommended treatments or programs. Not that in this case that's necessarily relevant, but that's one of the first things that'll happen. He will also, 20 years in prison is away from society, is certainly a different time, different culture that he'll be returning to. We will provide him with that necessary support and reentry services. We'll make sure he's connected to his health care. We'll make sure he's going to be tutored and mentored in technology, in finance. We'll make sure he understands social norms and goal setting. Parole Project will give him the full complement of our services while he's in residence with us. Once he leaves us, he does have a stable residential plan with his mother. And so we ask this board to just consider all the factors here, his record of rehabilitation, his conduct record while incarcerated, and grant his parole today.
Okay. I do have one question, Mr. Myers. How long have you been involved with Mr. Highstreet, evaluating him for placement program?
For the last 5 months.
5 months. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Myers? At this time, thank you so much, Mr. Myers, for your input. At this time, we'll go ahead and I'm going to list the members of the family in opposition to parole today, and we will allow 3 of them to make a short statement, 3 minutes or less. So today we have Anthony Rodriguez, the victim's brother, Dora Valdez, victim's mother, Annalise Highstreet, the victim's daughter, Francisca Valles, the victim's brother, Maria Rodriguez, the victim's son-in-law, or daughter-in-law, yes. Gabriela Garcia, family member, Ruby Valdez, sister, Lilybeth Rodriguez, sister, and Selena Sanez, the victim's sister-in-law. We're going to go ahead and ask Dora Valdez to speak first. Melanie, if you'll just go to the podium.
This is the one with me. Dear members of the Parole Board, I'm the real mother who has been on the long road of devastating with daughter is my own days. Being tragically taken, as you read this, I pray you understand that losing your child is inexplicable heartbreak, tragedy that should not happen to any mother. No mother deserves to suffer this way. It is difficult to put into words how the weight of all it has been so suffocating, soul-crushing, devastating, and earth-shattering in every way possible. There is no single day that goes by when my daughter is not in my mind. I cry myself to sleep almost every night because of how much I miss her and long to see her face or hear her voice again. I would trade it all for just one more moment with my daughter. If I could give every ounce of me to save every ounce of her, 1,000 times over. No matter how many years lurk over my shoulder, there is not a single day that passes by that I'm not missing my daughter. I have prayed for 19 years and I was willed. This monster stripped away my self-worth layer by layer until there was nothing left but an empty shell. The self that existed once before no longer exists. He succeeded in making any mother's worst nightmare come true, to bear the unbearable. My days are filled with anguish and sorrow because I have not learned to live with the pain, the emptiness, and the suffering it has caused me. Life without my daughter has become stagnant. I have struggled with this sadness I don't know existed. My world has been turned upside down. It's hard to see clearly sometimes because of the tears, the anger, the frustration, and the depression. I now suffer from panic attacks because of the fear and anxiety this man has inflicted with me. I am still haunted by that dreadful agonizing phone call that sent me to the emergency room after being told that my daughter was gone. There are days when I still feel paralyzed. I began to feel the same sickening come over me while opening the letter of the parole hearing. My daughter Esmeralda was a beautiful soul who trusted without a question and loved without reservation. She was open, honest, and alive, but not anymore. Her death was not quick and painful. It was agonizing, slow, and merciless. She did not just pass away, she was murdered, untwisted, beaten by the man she loved, threatened by his words, anger, and rage. She endured his cruelty, abuse, and manipulation, killed by an evil and she couldn't see or comprehend it. Losing my daughter was by far the hardest thing I had ever experienced. The second hardest was raising my granddaughter, knowing that one day I would need to explain to her that person responsible for mom not coming to home was because of her own father had done. I tried saving my daughter's home by paying the mortgage on it for an entire year after she had. My hope was this to get sold and the proceeds can be left to my granddaughter, Annalise. Unfortunately, the defendant refused to sign over his stamp of the house so that this daughter can be benefited. As a result of this, I eventually had to give up paying on it and let go of the financial impact it was causing. Given that my daughter's gonna have the luxury to come back home, I don't feel that this man should be given the luxury to return to his home early either. It is just not fair or justifiable. Therefore, I am against the parole and protesting the early release. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I trust that the parole board will prioritize the safety and well-being of the community in reaching just and informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that's difficult. We appreciate your words. Now we're going to ask on Alexis Highstreet to speak and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Alexis Highstreet. I have my handwriting here in secure. So I'm Esmeralda, the victim's surviving daughter. I wish I could have gotten the opportunity to develop a description of my mother, but I was never given the possibility due to the heinous crime. To my knowledge, my mother was filled with an overflow of selflessness, benevolence, and love. Sorry. My mother would have given anyone close to her the shirt off her back without thought. As she entered the room, she immediately radiated with a positive light. Throughout the agonizing years of my youth, I have prayed every day that maybe I might wake up one day with a normal childhood. Following the crimes of Giovannie, I was a helpless child left behind without parents at the age of 2 years old. I was forced to experience deep loneliness as I lived my life without a nurturing mother. Thankfully, my mother imparted a loving family, and the community of this family raised me on their own. My grandmother was my primary caretaker throughout the development of my life. My mother was considered the matriarch of the family, and unfortunately, this tragedy severed relations, and it's a relationship that has not used to this day. Given the intensity of this crime, I do not think Giovannie deserves parole. If the offender is released, I fear for the safety of me and my family. He took my mother's short life and attempted to harm, if not murder, her siblings. How can I feel safe and forgiving around a world of hurt created into your mom's bare hands? This tragedy was not necessarily premeditated, and he had a prior history of domestic violence with my mother and in previous significant others. This criminal possibility of parole is for family and friends to relive the most painful time of our lives. And the thought that my mother's murderer can walk free is gut-wrenching. I'm aware that his mother lives close to my permanent residence, which is also my grandmother's home. This adds another layer of fear because he is all where I live. Even though he is my father, I will not be able to recognize him if he approached me. I've had no contact with him for 20 years. In the 2 years that I did, I never even spoke my first words. So I've never been in contact with him, maybe from like my sister or someone from afar, but I never directly spoke to him. And no matter how many years have passed, I'm reminded every day that I experience a child's worst nightmare growing up without parents. I simply despise my legal last name because it derives from this evil intentioned man. I'm forced to deal with the agony every day, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't long for a mother present during my life, especially during important milestones that a normal child would have their parents attend. My mom and I were both robbed of a fulfilling life, and it deeply upsets me when I even begin to think of the parts that she had to endure before leaving this world. As the voice of my mother, I come forward today to beg for the denial of early release as long as the law allows. She no longer has a life on earth, but I aspire to continue her legacy in our family and the community. Releasing this offender will put every single living at risk, and I truly would not feel safe if he was given freedom. My mother will never get the opportunity to live her life ever again, so I should be. I wish I was fortunate enough to say goodbye, or at least know how it feels to embrace a mother's arms, at least once. I do not believe that we're justified if there is another chance given in life, and my mother is not fortunate enough for that second chance. Therefore, I'm strongly opposed to the offenders.
Thank you very much. The final person speaking will be Ruby Valdez.
Good morning. I'm writing to express. My name is Ruby Valdez. I am the victim of Mr. Highstreet's heinous acts committed on October 17, 2004. I am the sister of the deceased Esmeralda Valdez, whose life was cut short at the age of 32. Not only did he take a life, a beautiful soul that day, but he took away a sister, a daughter, a mom, an aunt, a mentor, a pillar to her family and community. No matter how many stories we share about my sister and her daughter and Alexis, who was robbed of her mother at the young age of 2, her daughter will never get to experience a hug from her mom, see her face, her smile, hear her say, "I love you," take her to prom, dress shopping, plan a wedding, or get to experience any milestone in her life with her mom. Why? Because she was stripped of that the day the offender decided to commit this horrific crime. Still today, I am haunted and traumatized by what he did. In addition to taking her life that day, he planned to take my life as well. He was an adult who knew exactly what he was doing. He bragged about how my mother would soon pay during a family party the day before.
This was not an act of the heat of the moment. This was all premeditated. He even said his goodbye to his 2-year-old daughter that afternoon, letting her know that he would not be seeing her in a long time. No one had a clue of why he was putting up a show suddenly. My sister was murdered by a man at 4 a.m. At 8 a.m., 4 hours later, I received a phone call from him calmly asking me to come over because he claimed that my sister wanted to talk to me. And he wanted me to come over because he said that she wanted to chat with me. Showing absolutely no remorse of what he had done, he then continued to call every 30 minutes after until he successfully lured me into such a violent, gruesome sight. Not only had I walked into the lion's den to face a man that had been completely overtaken by pure evil, but I saw what no person should ever have to witness or experience in their lifetime. I saw the lifeless body of an unrecognizable sister lying there helpless. I must relive that eerie day over and over in my head because no matter what I do, I think nothing has succeeded in removing the horrid scene out of my head. This is not the first time that he had hurt her. He had struck her badly once before after her face was bruised due to the offender not being able to control his short temper. He has had a history of acts of violence in previous relationships with the mother of his older kids as well. As a result of losing my sister that day, the pillar to our family, the glue that once held this family together, this has caused my family to come crumbling down. We are all still broken, shattered to pieces, and have all scattered throughout the country since she has been gone. He tore this family apart. This tragedy has affected us in every aspect, spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Even on days where we can craft up a smile, the pain is just beneath the surface. We will not wake up one day with everything okay and life back to normal. They say time heals all wounds, but yet I've yet to know what that feels like. I have carried this pain each day ever since. I am here today to protest to fight for my sister because she no longer is here to have a voice in this. She is not here to tell you what pain she has endured, the pain she endured that night, and what suffering she underwent during those last moments of her life. She's not coming back. And for all these reasons, I firmly believe that it is imperative for an inmate to serve his full extent sentence and not be granted early release. Releasing him at this time would just impose a significant risk for the safety of my family and would not be at best interest for the community. I'm requesting that the next whole year be delayed as long as the law allows. It has been
Ms. Ruby, we're-
years to pay for his crime, but the victim's family and loved ones were given a life sentence.
Thank you so much. Mr. Highstreet, it's appropriate this time that you be allowed to make a statement to the board, prior to the decision being made.
No, ma'am.
He said he's not making a statement.
No, ma'am. I don't have a statement.
Okay. So today we interviewed you, Mr. Highstreet. We have heard from the Pearl Project. We've heard from your offenders. At this time, I believe, without any further statement from you, that it's time to vote. We're going to go to Mr. Prater first.
Okay. Because of the victim statements, because of a number of things, the crime, how it's committed, length of time it took to call, anyone call the ambulance or anything like that. The fact you've had a reduced charge, and the fact that you just recently got into, I say recently, in the last couple of years, gotten into a little bit of a problem there and removed from the barracks, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And because of all those reasons, but mainly because of the impact you've had on the 9 people I'm looking at right here, I vote to deny.
Mr. Furman.
Okay, due to the, strong victim opposition, and you have not, in my opinion, served enough time for this offense, only serving half of your time, so my vote is to deny.
Sir, I concur with my colleagues today. Your vote has, your parole has been denied. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead.